I'm Tri Vuong. I'm a writer and artist for comics, and I guess specifically Ninjago Garmadon and Ninjago Shatterspin.
How has your creative process evolved from the Garmadon comic series to your more recent work of Shatterspin?
For Garmadon, it was really we were like really in the dark. I was told that Garmadon was like the first graphic novel. In the beginning we weren't sure like, well, what does like a Lego comic, much less a Ninjago comic, just a simple Lego comic look like? um because you don't want to draw them just as diagrams of toys, because they're still like they're characters, and they live in a world. And specifically with the Ninjago world is that I found that one really interesting, because the minifigs look like the toys. They don't move like the toys, obviously, but the world is kind of just a world. Like the world isn't made out of bricks, which is different than most other Lego properties. For Garmadon, we were just sort of establishing the sandbox, and then for Shatterspin, we kind of understood the sandbox and what we could play with, what we could push. In that sense, it was more comfortable. But in Garmadon, it was just all me doing the line art, and Annalisa Leone did the amazing colors. But for Shatterspin, it was a much more ambitious project overall, so it just needed a much bigger team. So there was more moving pieces, more to coordinate internally with at Image and Skybound, and also with Lego and Amit as well. But for Shatterspin, um, we I was developing the story while all that stuff was happening in the show, so it was sort of um, like they were just kind of building the railroad track just before I got there, or sometimes I would just be there ahead of time, and they'll be like, "Okay, hold tight. We don't have an answer for you," or sometimes like maybe, "Oh yeah, that seems like the right direction," but then these are complex projects, so sometimes we would have to undo things. Like, "Oh no, that's not how Shatterspin works. That's not how." Even the names, the many names that we went with, that wasn't the way it worked. So it was a lot more to wrangle and make sure it lined up with what was happening in the show too, as well as making it accessible so that if you didn't watch the show, or if you're not even a Ninjago fan, you could still just pick it up and enjoy it as a standalone comic. So it was a very difficult tightrope to walk.
Yeah, no, we were curious because, of course, with you doing the Garmadon
Mhm.
comic before, it's such a different period of Garmadon's life. I was just curious, was the writing process different for writing this version of Garmadon? Because it's such a different portion of his life. He's, has some different tendencies to him.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little bit to me, he's still the same character, but sometimes I would write him too much like the Garmadon that he eventually becomes. Um so I definitely did get some notes like the tone of voice is just too much as old Garmadon, as opposed to this. I think the younger one is a lot more sincere.
Yeah.
uh he's what I find the older one a lot funnier, like a much more of a comical character, like unintentionally. He doesn't think he's funny. Um, so I wanted some of that, like to kind of poke through, like the way he's kind of uncomfortable with, affection, or this, but and I wanted to be a little bit more like he's still idealistic, but you tell the sort of the corruption is already in there. The way I thought of it was that old Garmadon, the Garmadon of present day, uh, is not as bad as he thinks and would like to be,
Mm.
and young Garmadon is probably worse than he'd like to be. Is probably uh, uh, has a lot more darkness in him than he's willing to admit to himself. So he always starts. Young Garmadon starts off as in, "Oh, I need this to save Ninjago. I need this to for the greater good." But there's this like ambition, and like this thing, like it just kind of just wants it for himself, but he doesn't want to vocalize it. Whereas old Garmadon is n- talks nonstop about how evil he is, but he's probably nicer than he actually is. Yeah, it's weird. Like, I did not expect to have like he's quite a fun and interesting and surprisingly deep character to write. Like on the surface level, he's like, oh, this is sort of Lego Darth Vader. And it kind of is, but I
Yeah.
think he's also like there's also like 15 seasons of this character, and then you kind of get a chance to kind of really delve deeper because it's like he gets to be like good, bad, dead, bad, and then kind of good again. So and then continue. So whereas Darth Vader is just sort of he's redeemed, and then that's sort of he's just dead. So it's like, well, what happens after this partial redemption? I guess. So I find him really fun to write.
Here recently, let's tie this back to Garmadon just for a minute, the original run.
Mhm.
There was a character, his name was Magra. We all remember him. In the modern day of the show, the most recent season, we were introduced to a subspecies named Dragonians.
Okay.
Um, when we initially talked with you about Garmadon back in the day, you said your inspiration was the Tengu. So
Yeah.
that was kind of what everyone was going off of for a little bit. This is a species that's in Ninjago now, and they look eerily similar to Magra. And we
Let
get a
me
little
see
bit of
this.
a reverse
Oh,
confirmation that he is a Dragonian.
I guess I can. I don't. Nobody consulted with me, but yeah, for sure. I has there been anything in the Ninjago wiki or anything? I can't officially or unofficially confirm, but that yeah, I can't. I mean, they definitely have similarities. Although these guys have tails, though. I don't think.
That's true.
Yeah,
True.
yeah.
I don't
So
know.
perhaps we can partially. I'm not sure. I mean, thanks for showing that. I in my head that'd be great if Magra somehow uh, uh, influenced this decision, but I can't. I don't really know. Ninjago is such a huge thing with so many departments that there's really no way of knowing. I did get some messages from the creator of Ninjago giving me the thumbs up for Garmadon, so that was awesome.
Oh, good.
Might be the craziest lore
It's
I've
gotten
ever.
really crazy. I mean, especially in Dragons Rising, because now they've introduced something called the Source Dragons, which are basically like these 7
Oh,
godlike deities that like control the rotation of cycles in time, and they're
yeah.
basically the gods right
So
now.
here's unless you guys already picked up on this, um little Easter egg is that the artifact that Garmadon uses to get to the wildness is a it looks like a scale, and we never say what it is, but it was implied that that's like a scale from a source dragon, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So,
No, we did not know
but
that.
well,
That's
that's not
awesome.
so even I mean, even though I wrote it, we're just sort of opening these question marks. So I don't know exactly if that's what they will write in the final canon, but it was definitely discussed. So yeah, maybe it is.
Nice.
Yeah. Mm.
So we know that you had contact with the Ninjago development team. We sent Garmadon to the wildness in this story. How familiar are you with like the concept of the wildness, like within the context of the show?
I have my so I guess are we talking about Chima?
Yes,
Is
that's
okay.
where this was going. We were going to ask about
Okay.
that.
Okay, so
We didn't want to go
I
off
so
into it
this
if you
is
didn't
the
know
how I
anything.
feel. I feel like I was there right at the beginning of the journey, and then I finished my journey, but the train kept on going. So I don't I so I probably know some things that you guys don't know, but then you guys for sure know things that I don't know because I got off like 5 steps ago.
Yeah.
So when we were working on it, we after discussion, the Ninjago team said we want to hint at the wildness, um, possibly being Chima. I think that's the direction they wanted to go on, but maybe because it was in development, they don't say it's this and
Yeah.
this. They're just sort of because they're building it out as I'm working on it as well. So that's what I know. But I guess has that since been confirmed?
Yeah, they got there.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Okay.
wildness, yeah, basically they kind of went into it in the sense of the wildness is the name of the realm and Chima is a location within the realm.
Okay.
Um, is they have this big monologue with the Roz. Do you know anything about Roz, the
Is that
character?
the
He's
that's
the
the
tiger guy. Yeah,
yes, yeah,
tiger
yeah,
wolf guy.
yeah.
Yeah, he's had got this like monologue at the start of season 2 where he's going through the wildness and he's like, "Yep, the Forever Rock," and like a few other
Okay.
locations. And the Forever
You,
Rock is like the main thing from Chima. So
you know, it would have been so nice to have that information as we had. I think we had like one drawing. Like there, it really
yeah,
was being like developed as we went. It's like this is kind of what the wildness looks like, but it's just like one. It's this vast place. It's just a picture of a forest and stuff,
yeah.
and then I'm just building it out, hoping this is kind of in the spirit of what they're doing. So I'm hoping it's seamless. I don't know if like what I did influenced what they were doing. I wouldn't I wouldn't go far so say that, but at least hopefully it did not like conflict with what they were doing.
It didn't. No,
Okay.
everything fits really, really well.
Okay.
I mean, that was kind of one of my questions was if you could continue one of the stories of like one of the new characters from Shatterspin, but it sounds
Mhm.
like, like it would be cool to see them resurface somewhere, have another adventure.
Yeah, it's tricky because you don't know with this stuff, you never know if this is your like last time around with these characters, but you don't want to assume that is. So you kind of leave things open-ended enough, but hopefully it it's its own standalone. All the characters have their arcs and journeys, but um like maybe Asa is gone, or maybe he's not. It's almost like a it, it's like almost like a Disney death,
Yeah.
maybe. But
Yep.
yeah, I mean, I had a lot of fun writing the kids. So it yeah, I even selfishly, I hope they come back.
Talking about Ozza just one more time.
Hmm.
So Ozza obviously was able to perform Shatterspin, like the full on Shatterspin at the
Hmm.
end. And you kind of set up that you need to have an elemental spark, elemental power to be able to
Hmm.
do full Shatterspin. A lot of people have been wondering,
Hmm.
what was Ozza's power?
I think that's a mystery. I think
Okay.
Shatterspin itself, because there's a lot of rules about Shatterspin, and even like I mean, the honest truth is that I think I don't even think everybody understands what might like. There seems like it's almost like the Force in a
Hmm.
way. They it can maybe it'll go like it's almost like you don't want to define it too clearly. So at the same time is also I don't know what Asa's power is, and Asa doesn't know what his power is either. I saw it as he had the spark of elemental mastery. He probably was already further. I mean, Garmadon also eventually becomes the master of destruction, right?
Yes.
But at that time he wasn't. So I've always like I've thought like let's say I think if he did ring the gong, what would have happened to Garmadon at that point? I kind of almost said it's kind of good that we don't know. Um, Maybe it would have gone well. Maybe it really would not have gone well. But the way with Asa, regardless of what his power was, in my head, I thought of him as kind of already beyond Garmadon, like beyond his master at that point. And he could have, and then at the very end, we found out, oh, he could have spoken all this time. He could have
Yeah.
done a lot of things all this time, but he just chose not to because he was sort of, in a way, kind of wise beyond his years. And he just kind of liked hanging out with his brothers and sisters. And I feel like that was the kind of, that's almost like a very woo kind of like he's almost like more enlightened than everybody else that thought they were taking care of him. So yeah. So he's very deliberately mysterious, even to me.
He's the master of plot relevance. Like if he's ever
I
needed,
guess
he's
so.
like, "Yep,
Yeah,
I
he
can use
is
my
what is
special
needed to
power
be.
now."
Yeah. Especially if I say something now and then he does come back and,
Yeah,
and it's decided he's something else. Like, oh man, I totally messed
yeah.
that up.
He's a Chekhov's box of elemental
Yeah.
powers. He could
Yeah.
be anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess this is more of a broad question, but I'm
Mhm.
curious. Like outside of the realm of comics, is there any other like creative like field or industry that you have interest in like exploring? It doesn't even have to be something like that would involve Ninjago, but just
Okay.
is there anywhere where you'd want to like branch out to or try?
Well, I actually came from animation and video games.
Yeah.
And that's why I ended up kind of by accident in comics.
Mm.
Um, I really love comics. I mean, I love games and animation as well, but in terms of like work, like if I had to choose like one medium to work on full time forever, it probably would be comics.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to like actually do like film, like live action as well. Either way, I think I would still loop back to like loop back to comics. Uh, I've always thought it'd be great to do like a cool indie game. Uh, that'd be neat. Um, the thing is about with comics is that I mean it is a lot of work, but I could let's say had an idea with like some paper or an iPad, and then maybe some time, 6 months, 7 months, maybe a year. I could produce, a story. Maybe even if it's a short story, maybe I can do it in a month. Like who knows? But with something like games or films, or they're such massive projects that take up so many people, that I find it really quite daunting. So I don't know. I think comics is like kind of perfect for me. I gotta say, the Lego comics are the hardest projects I've ever worked on. It's so tricky because you want to be really It's Lego itself is so it's like so beloved. It's been around for so long, like generations. So you don't want to change too much, but at
Mm.
the same time, they can't. They're also very limited in what they can do. Like these minifigures. If you're too faithful, like I mentioned, I think the last time I talked to Braden, just like there's certain things that like I've drawn them out, uh, but it's not right. Like they can't cross their legs. They can't
Yep.
sit around a campfire or anything like that. And sometimes it's like it's I wouldn't call it a battle, but it requires a bit of a discussion
Yeah.
where like it was like, well, this looks off model. It's like I know I know that, but I can draw them on model and they don't look the char they look like the toys, but they don't look or feel like the characters. Like he should be tired or slumped over or leaning back one way or something. And the toys just can't do that. So we have to find ways to like keep it faithful, but break it enough in service of the characters and the stories.
Yeah.
And I mean, the show itself has also gotten in like a really big habit of doing that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you watch like an episode of Ninjago versus like one of the Marvel Lego or like Star Wars Lego like
Yeah.
specials they do, like they stay very strict to, what a Lego movement can do. Whereas Ninjago, like you say, is not in a Lego world. It's just a real world with
Yeah.
Lego people.
Yeah,
Um,
think of the like Hobbits or Smurfs or like I think of almost like Dragon Ball. It's just fascinating that Ninjago slice of Lego, like that's the one
it is
Lego
interesting.
thing that does its own thing. And breaks its own rules.
Now that Shatterspin is finished, then
Mhm.
you've had Garmadon out for a little over 2 years now. Do you have a favorite? Looking back at both of the
Of the
projects.
two, oh boy. Hmm. I really have a soft spot for the original Garmadon uh comic, but then Shatterspin, I love this. I think it had a much more robust supporting cast. Like the first one was Garmadon's thing, and then he had characters, but everything was sort of supporting him on his journey. But I really like these like these wolf kids. So,
Absolutely.
if I had to choose one, I think maybe just because of Garmadon was the first one, I think of that one more fondly. Um, I mean, I love them both.
I do want to ask you about, your Fortnite loading screens. We logged in, and there were 3 loading screens, Star Wars related. One of them was made by you.
Yes, that's
Would you
right.
like to talk
Yeah.
about that?
Uh,
Do
sure.
any
I
of
mean,
Yeah, we can cut it if you think that
I
it's
mean,
something.
there's not actually in a way not that much to say. I got an email from Sean Makowitz, who's the editor in chief of Skybound. I worked with him. He was the editor for Garmadon, so I worked with him quite closely with him on that. And he was the one that actually kind of pushed for sort of A lot of the beat story beats kind of was inspired by him. Um, but in any case, he emailed me and just said, "Hey, the Lego folk want to talk to you about maybe a potential project. Are you interested?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. I love Lego. I mean, that's I always want to hear what's happening in the pipeline." And I assumed it was something comic related at that point, which might have been tricky because I was working on something else. Um, so then somebody from Lego contacted me and said, "Hey, somebody from Epic wants to talk to you about something." I'm like, okay, so this just keeps on getting passed down. So eventually it became it's something for a game called Fortnite. Like, do you know Fortnite? Yes, I know Fortnite. So and then it was something Star Wars related for May the 4th, I think it was. It was around that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um and they asked me if I was interested in it. They had several like ideas of what would make a fun loading screen, and just to pick one and draw it, and I did, I guess. Yeah, and it was a blast. It was a blast, and I'm doing more. Yeah, I'll do as many as they they're willing to keep giving me because it's just super fun to do. Was
Yeah,
it?
I think
Can I just ask? Was it obvious when you saw it that I drew it, or did you
it
find out
was.
afterwards?
It really was.
Really? Okay.
I mean, because I
Oh, that's
mean,
nice.
like, you unlock them and, you can slide through them, and it was interesting because there was 2 other people that they had to, like, commission for, like, Lego Star Wars stuff,
Yeah.
but they also had their own, like, recognizable style that you were like, "They've done
Yeah.
something on Ninjago before,"
Okay.
and, like, yours, like, just the way that I think it might have been, like, the dirt speckles or something,
Oh,
like, just,
interesting.
like, on the
My
minifigure leg, I was like, "That looks
That's
like
what I'm
Garmadon."
famous for. My dirt speckles.
So yeah, I noticed that and I was like, "Oh yeah, it's Try." It
Oh,
was funny
amazing.
because, um,
So
um
funny thing about those screens, because I mean it's still Lego, but just to highlight the difference between Lego and Lego whatever, Lego Star Wars in this case, and Ninjago was actually I had to draw them. The rules were different, even though initially I was saying like, well, like they were like really open. Epic, and I think Lego itself was really open to like stylistic interpretations of Lego Star Wars. But after working on it, the liberties that I took with the Ninjago characters, I couldn't do with Lego because these were actually toys. Like I had to draw
Yeah,
in the leg and buttholes. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
whereas
yeah,
I didn't have to do them before. And also, I mean, things that I put in deliberately for the comic, like they actually had like like bits of cloth on
mhm,
their like skirts and stuff like that. Other than Phasma's cape, like everything was they were very deliberately toys and specifically populated with like very specific toy-like things. So and also even the poses, like I had Phasma kind of really in a more cartoony, like her legs would kind of splay out in a way that the toys can't at all.
yeah,
But they're like that's breaking it too much. So I had to change the poses to look more like what a toy could do, because that's what they did in the game.
yeah,
So yeah. Another I was gonna mention before. I thought like Ninjago. So I said Garmadon I think was my favorite, but now I'm thinking about it that I Shatterspin has Buck Buck, which might be my
yeah,
favorite. And going back, so Buck Buck had some interesting backstory too, because originally there was like, oh, maybe he should just be this Lego chicken, like a generic Lego chicken,
yeah,
and we just draw him as that. But then after looking into it, Wu also has a chicken, right? And Wu's chicken is just a chicken. So it's like, well, in that case, like it's the precedent has been set. Let's just make him his own chicken design and rather than just a toy. So yeah.
yeah. It's funny you say that, because like, while I was reading, Shatterspin, I was like, "This chicken," and then it got, to the end, and Zayden's like, "Take care of my chicken, Garmadon," um in the back of my mind, before, like,
Yeah.
I turned the page and I remembered what his design was, I was like,
Yeah.
"Does this chicken end up with Wu somehow?" And this is, like, a
Oh,
really long-winded
oh
explanation of how
man.
Wu gets his chicken.
That would have
Uh,
been brilliant if we had thought of that.
but yeah.
Oh man. Now we need a director's cut.
We did wanna ask just kind of if you had any thoughts on Strike of the Serpentine, so that's coming up from Skybound in
Mm,
2026. You've
okay.
not been announced as, like, attached to the project, but
Mhm.
Shatterspin does kind of end setting that project up.
Yeah.
We wanted to know if you kind of had any kind of conversation with that
Yes.
crew or
Some in the beginning because they were. I mean, it's been announced. So
yes.
they were planned simultaneously. Um, so especially in the first issue, uh, because they start off in the same timeline and in the exact same time. So there are some things, I'm trying not to spoil anything. There's at least one scene you saw in Shatterspin. You will see that same scene from sort of the opposite angle. So we had to coordinate just to make sure that, things would line up. And then also kind of the ending. By the way, they kind of both have to end not conflicting each other too. So and I wasn't involved in the day to day or anything like that, but I did we were on a joint meetings with Lego and with a writer of I think and back then I think it was just called the Serpentine War, but now it's they changed it to Strike of the Serpentine.
Yep.
So with but his name escapes. It's been a couple years since that meeting, so but it looked really cool. I got a chance to read the opening, the first script, and also the pitch, and yeah, it looks really exciting. But I will say, I mean, it's the same editorial team. Everybody really cares about
Yep.
the comic, so I think it's in good hands. I am still doing Lego stuff. In terms of other comics, I am promoting The Strange Tales of Oscar Zahn, which is it was actually my first web comic, but it's now a book that's available everywhere. And I have some other projects that are near completion or in the works that I could probably announce soon. But I guess stay tuned and check out my blog, tomagohouse.com, for like some behind the scenes look on like making comics, Ninjago or otherwise. Like these are I guess the equivalent of like 5 issue miniseries, but I've always wished they were like 6 or
Yeah.
7